Hello, everybody, and want to welcome you to part 5 of this low cost buffing setup that I came up with for finishing guitar bodies. So, if you have followed the last 4 videos, as of this video, a few things have changed. So, if you have followed the previous 4 videos, I originally had made a decision to go with a 2-foot shaft for this buffer. Now, the reason I originally had done that, my reasoning behind that was I wanted to try to get as much RPMs out of the motor while having enough room on each end of the shaft to do all my buffing work. I thought going with a smaller shaft, would be, a little bit more cost effective way to get this buffer up and running. Since that video, I finally broke down and I made the decision to switch over to a 3-foot shaft. Originally, I thought it was silly to switch over to a 3-foot shaft because as of right now, I only have 3 6-inch diameter buffing wheels on each end of the shaft. I thought it was silly having 6-inch diameter wheels on a 3-foot shaft, because quite honestly, they did not cost that much. I think I have a whole $24 wrapped up in these buffing wheels. I got them at Harbor Freight, and they were only like $4 a piece. So it wound up coming to about $24 plus tax. But some of the issues we were having with that 2-foot shaft was, even though I have the buffer with the size pulley that I have on the motor, and then the size pulley that I have on the shaft, I have it dialed in now that I'm running at about 718 RPM, which is like the ideal speed when you're buffing out clear coats. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, I think the StewMac buffer runs about that speed. So, just to give you a brief rundown to what has changed since the last video. So, was having an issue with the top of the frame here vibrating really bad as well. I mean, I don't have that much money wrapped up in this construction lumber. So what I did, I took a piece of 1x3 and I screwed it on to the frame here to try to cut down on the wobble. I also took a toolbox that I have wrenches and sockets in. It's got a lot of weight to it, and not that I needed the frame weighed down because it's got locking casters on it, but it helps the frame from vibrating a lot. On the last video, when I still had the 2-foot shaft on here, I thought to cut down on the wobble in the shaft. I thought spreading the pillow block bearings apart would help. It didn't. But since switching over to this 3-foot shaft, in my opinion, I believe that the buffer is running a lot better now. There is still some wobble in the shaft, and I'm going to keep saying this until I, hammer this into your brain. The main problem when you buy these all-threaded rods from these home improvement stores, you're not dealing with a precision shaft. So even though you might roll, the rod on the floor to see if there's any wobble in it, even though it may seem like it is straight, these all threaded rods that come from Home Depot, Lowe's, Menards, they're not perfectly straight. So when you get it home and you go to apply it to your project, like this one, regardless of how many RPMs you run your machine at, you're gonna have some wobble in the shaft. Now there might be certain things you can do. I could probably screw in some more 2x4s and spread the pillow block bearings apart even further. But honestly, with the way that this is running now, I don't think that's really necessary. And I think once we're able to order some bigger buffing wheels, like say either 12 or 14 inch, and my further plans are, I plan on moving the motor down towards the bottom of the frame, and I'm going to replace this regular V-belt with the link belt as well, because supposedly the link belts, they run a little bit smoother, so hopefully that'll cut down on some of the vibration in this shaft. So compared to last time, I believe, in my opinion, and I don't know if you'll be able to catch this on the video, I feel like this buffer is running a whole lot better. I did have one issue with this right bearing. I did not have the set screws tightened down enough, and the housing here, it was coming loose a little bit. But since I tightened the set screws down a little bit, I've had no issues. With the buffer running at 718 RPM, everything is holding up pretty good. The hex nuts that I use for jam nuts, none of them have been coming loose. I have a locking nut on the end here. Have had no issues with that coming off. I've had no issues with this left bearing at all. It's been fine. Like I said, we fixed the problem with the right bearing, and we've had no issues down here on this other set of buffing wheels. None of the screws coming loose or anything. So we have a pretty good setup going here. But like I said, I think once we switch over to a V-belt, bring the motor down, we're going to move the switch down towards the bottom as well. I could basically flip it on and off with my foot if I needed to. So I believe once we make all those changes and we get some bigger buffing wheels, I think we're going to have a pretty good setup here. One thing I do plan on doing, and I have some 3/4 inch PVC in the back there. I've heard of some guys will cut a piece of PVC and they'll put it over the top of these all threaded rods. And the nice thing about doing that is it could possibly help also with reducing a little bit of the wobble. But the other thing is when you go to buff the finish on your guitar bodies, you don't have to worry about accidentally hitting these threads and wind up chipping the finish on whatever project you have going on. So we plan on doing that also. So like I said, between dropping the motor down, switching over to a link belt, dropping the switch down, putting a piece of PVC pipe here and here, I think we'll have a very, very good setup. I'm probably gonna, as of right now, my plan is going with 12-inch wheels. Honestly, I'm not gonna be, I plan on doing some test pieces, but it's not gonna be like I'm gonna be working on 3 guitars a week. So I think switching to 12-inch wheels will be just fine. But I'll give you another preview here of this thing in action. So yeah, so like I said, there is some wobble going on in the shaft. It seems a little worse on the left side than on the right side. But then again, also another thing is my garage has a very uneven floor, because the thing about these garage floors, they're not perfectly level, because they try to account for if you have water built up. They try to account for letting the floor have the water drain out to the driveway. So that could possibly be another reason why I got a little bit of wobble going on. But it's yeah, in my opinion, this buffer is running a whole lot better with this 3-foot shaft. So I still have yet to order my compounds. And I still need to order some more Crystalac Brightone instrument finish. The problem that's going to be with the Crystalac is we're in Northwest Indiana here, and we're already in October. It's already getting it's getting pretty cold out. So if I decide to do any buffing work on any of these clear coats, instead of trying to spray the clear coat out here in the garage, the Crystalac Brightone, you can actually apply it with a brush also. So I might just take it inside the house, put a few coats on with a foam brush and let it cure for a few days, and then I'll come back and level sand and polish sand, and then take it to this buffer. Honestly, if these 6-inch wheels get the job done, because James over at 92 Guitars, he actually uses these 6-inch wheels all the time, and he swears by them. He's had no issues with them. But I'm really happy with the way this is running right now. Like I said, you hear a little bit of vibration from the pulley, but that's going to be normal. But everything is secured really well. Oh, another thing. These may look like lag bolts that I use to tighten down the pillow block bearings. Actually, they're lag screws. I didn't want to have to drill all the way through the back of the 2x4 and use a hex nut to tighten it down. So I bought some, I believe they're 3 inches in length. Bought some lag screws, and I bought some washers, and I torqued them down really good, and they're holding beautifully. I've had no issues with them coming loose from the frame at all. So yeah, so if these 6-inch buffing wheels work out just fine, I'll probably just wind up sticking with them. I have had a little bit of trouble looking on Amazon trying to find 12-inch wheels that have a 3/4 inch arbor hole. That's been a little bit. I could get them from StewMac, but my gosh, StewMac is so ridiculously priced on everything. I could probably even get them from Jescar, but I'm gonna try to see if I can get them off of Amazon first. But if these 6-inch wheels get the job done, and I'm still able to get some high gloss finishes on these test pieces, I may just stick with them. I mean, why reinvent the wheel if it's still working? That's what I say. So yeah, I like the way the buffer is running right now. But honestly, I think these upcoming changes of switching over to a link belt and dropping the motor down and going to some bigger wheels and then putting a couple of pieces of PVC pipe on the shaft here, I think that will actually help cut down on some of the wobble as well. So that's where we stand right now, and that's going to be the end of this video. If you have any questions or comments, just leave them down below. I'll try to get back with you as soon as I can. And thank you all for watching. Have a blessed day. Have an amazing day. Take care of yourself. Take care of others. And we will see you next time.